everybody, they were protesting. So I just did the rewrite on my own to make sure that they won by 1 point. Sometimes you have a creative feeling, Adam, in that last minute, and you have to make that change. So you make that change as soon as you can. And I wanted to make sure that they just won by 1 point. I thought that would be fitting for the first game of the season.
Kate, you nailed it. You know what? You took over the table reads. You made sure the script would go as it should, and it worked out perfectly. Now,
Yep.
How far do you have the Lions scripted for the rest of the season here?
That's right. I've got the Lions going to the NFC Championship game. And that, yep. I can't believe I'm sharing this with you. I shouldn't be telling this. This should not be on the podcast. I shouldn't be telling everybody what the script is going to look like. But the Lions are going to become the darlings of the league and go to the NFC Championship game. And then I can't tell you any more after that. That's getting up to page 126, and I can't reveal any more after that.
Let's tell you about the Academy of Warren. Then we're going to talk about that awesome statement that was just made by Detroit's own Keegan. Academy of Warren, they had that new state-of-the-art sports dome, which we've checked it out, and it's absolutely amazing. You can play 7-on-7 in there. They got volleyball, soccer field, and basketball court. They do kindergarten through 8th grade. They got the latchkey program, small classroom sizes, and just an amazing, amazing place. Go check it out. It's right there on 8 Mile, the Academy of Warren. Come experience the new one and enroll today. academyofwarren.net.
And of course, those comments were made by... Yeah, that is the beat, JB Smooth. You are the man. Of course, those comments were made by Keegan-Michael Key. He is hyping up the Lions as much as anybody right now. And also, he actually has the NFL script, so maybe we should listen to him.
He's the lead writer.
Hey, he is the writer. He's actually the one that knows it all. So maybe we should keep our ears pinned when it comes to Keegan-Michael Key. But still, how cool is it that one of the most prominent Detroit native celebrities right now is just so high on this team? They are the darlings of the NFL. They are, and all of the Detroit natives, everyone is coming out to support this team. But I also want to get into a little bit about the substance of what he said. And in one of his quotes, and if you guys haven't heard it, I shouldn't be telling everyone what the script is going to look like, but the Lions are going to become the darlings of the league and go to the NFC Championship game, and then I can't tell you any more after that. And obviously, I think, for the most part, we all have the Lions winning one playoff game. And if they don't get the number 1 seed, I believe it would take 2 playoff wins to get to the conference championship game. And as high as we are on the Detroit Lions, I'll tell you what, the 49ers look pretty damn good too. The Eagles are still there. The Cowboys went to New York and shut out the Giants.
I don't want to hear any Cowboys bullshit.
Okay, but like the
I've been hearing Cowboys bullshit my whole life. They haven't won anything in 30 years, 40 years.
Okay, but you're a Lions fan, and you're just like, oh, the Cowboys, those losers who won 5 Super Bowls.
I've been told they're America's team my whole life, and I'm pretty sure I'm American, and they're not my team.
You were alive in the 90s when they won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, in the 90s. That's great. How much credit do we give the Red Wings now for winning in the 90s?
No, I get it.
You don't.
The Cowboys have been underachievers, I would say, over the past almost 30 years, and that is 100% fair. But my point is that...
Only 30 years of mediocre football.
All right.
But that's all right.
They're still
good.
Football, too.
Either way, sorry.
Tony Romo.
Just don't give me that Cowboys shit.
But I will say this, the Lions looked good, but the NFC, unlike the AFC, they actually got the job done. Pretty much all of the top NFC contenders, they won. So, Sam Stickday, I'm going to start with you. Can the Lions actually make the NFC Championship game and maybe even beyond?
Can they? Of course. Will they? Who knows? I mean, those are 2 completely different questions, but I mean, all things point to yes, right? And even though the 49ers look dominant, who'd they look dominant against?
I mean, at Pittsburgh.
Just to answer the question, is Pittsburgh a good team?
They're fine.
They have your boy Kenny Pickett. Your beloved Kenny Pickett flannel.
They beat up on a fine team. All right, the Cowboys won. Are the Giants a good team?
They were a playoff team last year, Stick. Don't just dismiss at Pittsburgh and at New York.
But are they a good team?
They're probably going to win 7 games.
Did the Lions beat them last year?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, they're a fine team too. And what was the other team? The Eagles?
Yeah.
Who the hell did the Eagles play?
They won at New England.
At New England. That's a fair win.
But at
New England's not the New England.
Pittsburgh isn't. But that's
either
okay.
way,
Go ahead.
What win was the best out of week 1?
Lions.
Lions, yeah, exactly. Lions. So that's my point of making all those references about who they actually played. And we could say, yeah, they look great. Well, yeah, the Lions should look great against inferior opponents too. But the Lions look great against a superior opponent by all measures and Super Bowl championships and quarterback play and all that good stuff. So to me, yeah, it's not lost on me that the Lions can make it to the NFC Championship game, especially if we're only counting those 3 teams, because you got to assume 2 of them are going to knock each other out anyways, too.
Yeah, how much does the fact that they went into Arrowhead and actually won that game, albeit against the Kansas City Chiefs team that was missing a couple of their best players, but still, that is a very impressive win. How much does that sway you in thinking the Lions can actually go to the NFC Championship and beyond?
It doesn't sway me. I already had that belief,
okay.
and I think if you asked anybody in the Lions locker room, they already had that belief. Like they just need to go do it. Like you can believe it, but going and doing it is something completely else. And when we were during the Lions watch party, we were talking about moral victories, right? At what point can the Lions exit this game with a loss and still feel good about themselves? Was really the question I was getting at. Luckily, we don't have to answer that question. We don't have to like make those like, well, they only lost by 3 to Kansas City at home, but it was a last-second field goal. Yeah, if so and so would have dropped that pass, like we don't have those regrets now. You get to look at them. Oh my God, they went there, they won. But going back to our conversation earlier in the show, that's what makes this week so damn important. Because as much as I want to stand on that hill and say, hey, they went to Arrowhead and won, if the next week I got to be like, but then Seattle came in here and punched us in the face.
Exactly.
It doesn't feel as good. It doesn't make as much sense, and there's just not as much pride in that win.
You know, and I agree with you about that. I don't see the Seahawks coming into Ford Field and winning, but you can't take any team lightly. Lucas, do you think the Lions can actually make the NFC Championship game? That's part one. And part two, did the win at Kansas City actually sway you in any way?
Well, let's just break it down like this. Do the Lions have good ownership right now?
Yes.
See?
Do the Lions have good management right now?
Yes.
Do the Lions have good coaching right now?
Yes.
And do the Lions have a good roster right now?
Yes.
So, break that around the other contenders around the NFC. Philly checks all those boxes. Yep. Niners checks all those boxes. Cowboys, I'm not really so sold on their coaching, especially with Mike McCarthy. Their defense is crazy. We'll give them that. But I'm still not sold on the Cowboys coaching, especially now that they lost Kellen Moore. Because that offense looked okay. But again, who are they playing? The Giants. They absolutely can. And that win in Arrowhead at week 1, with the banners being dropped, the highest viewed week 1 game of the season, or of the week, they can absolutely win anywhere. They have everything, all the tools they need to. Really, it just depends on the path. I think if they were to play the 49ers in the divisional, that's where I'd be like, okay, this might be the year where it's like they made their path. They face a 49ers team, because honestly, that's a team that I think I would want to see in the NFC Championship game for them to make it there. But then we have another offseason to reload, and I think that's the year where it's like, we saw what the Niners did last year. We got a game plan against them. We got a better roster. Let's go beat them. Super Bowl. That's where I'd be like, the NFC Championship. If not, I think that's the path that it happens. I think they'll beat whatever home team they play in the wild card, or maybe if they even get a week 1 bye, because the NFC North could be absolute trash, especially towards the bottom half with the Bears and the Vikings. We got to see more out of the Packers, because that's another Cowboys and Giants situation, in my opinion.
Well,
but they have the path for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And here's where the whole beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead, I think, is really, really relevant to them possibly making the NFC Championship game, the Lions. I think when the schedule came out, as I've mentioned many, many times, the game at Kansas City obviously was looked at as the toughest game on the schedule. Obviously, some things happened. The fact that it was opening night, I think, gave Lions fans more hope. The fact that Kansas City had some key injuries gave the Lions some more hope. But you know what? And all of that aside, the Lions went in there and they won. And I actually predicted before the game, I didn't quite call for it. I went a little bit short of it, that if the fact the Lions won at Kansas City, this is a team that actually could contend for the 1 seed. And the reason why the 1 seed is so important in a 7-team playoff format is that they are the only team with a first-round bye. So just imagine if the Lions get the 1 seed and they have 1 home playoff game to win, and that would put them in the NFC Championship. I'm not calling for it quite yet, but there are a lot of...
It feels so good. Thinking about it feels so good.
But yeah,
it just feels so good. Oh, hell yeah. Yes. Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, man. But those are the feelings we're allowed to feel right now, and it's all very genuine. And that's the thing. If the Lions only have 1 home playoff game to get to the NFC Championship game, then their pathway is very much paved. And then if they're the 1 seed, they'd have a home NFC Championship game, and then we can start talking about even going to the Super Bowl and possibly winning it. Speaking of that, JB Smoove has some pretty expensive bets. What was it? The Lions getting, like, winning the NFC, and how many did you put on? Remind us.
So it's 3. It's the Lions winning the NFC North, the Lions winning the NFC Championship game, and the Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Didn't you have that, like, $2,500 bet for Hendon Hooker to win MVP, and the payout was crazy. Wasn't that you? Were you that
No,
Lions better than Niners Lions better?
That wasn't me. Hendon Hooker's my guy, but I know, let's be realistic, that's not going to happen, seeing him coming out of college and being injured. But, man, all the faith is on this Lions team right now. We're all on them to at least go far within this playoffs, and it's expected of them. That's what Brad Holmes said as well, too. They brought all these players in here, and they know what's expected of them, success. So I don't think it just stops short right here at us being, 12 wins, we make it to a playoff game, and then we're just okay with that. No, they want to see them go further than that. So sky's the limit.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, absolutely.